Hello guys, so here in this video we are going to discuss about the biomechanics of shoulder joint. A shoulder complex is a broad term which includes five joints, which is the sternoclavicular joint, the acromioclavicular joint, the glenohumeral joint, which we call it as the shoulder joint, then the scapulothoracic joint, which is not at all an anatomical joint but only a functional joint. And of course, some of you might have not have heard about this, that is the subacromial joint or suprahumeral joint. The subacromial space is now considered as not a joint but a subacromial space itself. So we have only 4 joints to study, and of course 3 bones are contributing to this 4 joints. That is the sternum, the clavicle and the scapula. These are 3 bones linked to the shoulder complex. So this is the sternum, this is the clavicle, and this one is the scapula. This is the posterior view of the shoulder complex. So here the shoulder joint is less stable and that it predisposes to various injuries. So now let's discuss about the sternoclavicular joint. The sternoclavicular joint, into the name itself, shows that it is an articulation between the sternum and the clavicle, but that's not the complete picture. Mechanically, if we evaluate, we see that it's an articulation between the clavicle, this one is the clavicle, the sternum and the first costal cartilage. This one is the first costal cartilage. So here you can see the sternoclavicular joint is the only structural continuation between the axial skeleton. This is the axial skeleton. That is your center body or your axis of the body with the perpendicular skeleton or with the upper extremities like this. So this is the only joint that connects your axial skeleton to the perpendicular skeleton. So here you can see this is the axial skeleton and this is the perpendicular skeleton. So this is the only joint that connects the axial skeleton and the perpendicular skeleton. So these are some few important introduction about the sternoclavicular joint. Now let's discuss about the type of the sternoclavicular joint. So sternoclavicular joint is a plain synovial joint. If you Google it, you can see that the sternoclavicular joint is a saddle shaped joint. But I told you that it is a plain synovial joint. Why that is? Because it is true that the articular surface of the clavicle and the sternum is a bit saddle shaped. Here you can see it is a bit saddle shape. That means it is reciprocally concave convex. So here the clavicle is concave and the manubrium of the sternum is convex like this. So here they articulate. But the saddle shape is very minimal here. So we cannot tell it as a saddle joint. So that is why we take it as a plain synovial joint. So the plain synovial joint is a triaxial joint. Therefore it has 3 degrees of freedom. 3 degrees of freedom. That is 3 rotatory degrees and 3 translatory degrees. So the articular surface we described earlier is formed by the medial end of the clavicle and the sternum and the first costal cartilage. So we have the clavicle over here, clavicle, sternum and the first costal cartilage. More clearly, the clavicular notch of the manubrium, this one, the clavicular notch of the manubrium is articulating with the clavicle. Here we can see that the medial end of the clavicle is not completely articulating with the manubrium sternum. In fact, only the anterior inferior part of the medial end of the clavicle is articulated. Anterior inferior part, here you can see anterior inferior part is articulated. You can see anterior inferior part is articulated. The superior part, which is this one, and the posterior part is left over. The superior part and the posterior part is left over. Behind this is left over. So the sternoclavicular joint is the articulation between the medial end of the clavicle and the clavicular notch of the manubrial sternum. And that makes the joint incongruent. Now we need to understand the associated structure. First one is the disc. If we look at this diagram, we can see that medial end of the clavicular notch of the manubrial sternum, and we can see the costal cartilage. So this is the medial end of the clavicle, this one, and this is the manubrial notch of the sternum, and this is the first costal cartilage. And now we have the structure known as the articular disc. This one is the articular disc, sternoclavicular disc. The disc of the sternoclavicular joint is the fibrocartilaginous in nature. It has a superior attachment over here. And the lower portion is attached to the manubrium. You can see here the lower portion is attached to the manubrium and the first costal cartilage. This is the manubrium, this one, and this is the first costal cartilage. And this disc divides the joint into two. Thus, this is the sternoclavicular joint disc, which is very important structure. Now we need to understand the function of the disc. First one is the function of stability. Second one is the function of force dissipation. So let's examine the function of stability. So here we know that the sternoclavicular joint has less articulation between the sternum and the clavicle. So the disc is attached from the superior to the manubrium. Here you can see it is attached superior to the manubrium. So the disc increases their contact between both the bones. Here you can see it is attached superiorly to the manubrium. So here the disc increases their contact between both the bones. Therefore, it increases the concurrence. So that it is the first function of stability. That is, it provides the stability by increasing the concurrence of the joint. Second one is, it prevents the medial translation of the clavicle. So we know that the clavicle only small portion is attached to the clavicular notch. Here you can see its small portion is attached to the clavicular notch of the manubrium. So there is more chance of dislocation. So the disc provides its stability by preventing the medial translation of the clavicle. So now let's see the second function. It helps in dissipation of medially directed force from lateral side and thus prevent the joint compression. Now let's see how the disc function when we will do motions. So during elevation and depression, the disc will be stationary. So here the upper portion will act as a pivot. Here the disc will be stationary, whereas in protraction and retraction, the disc will actually move with the clavicle. Here the pivot point will be in inferior aspect. Here the pivot point will be in the inferior aspect. So the inferior portion prevent the dislocation, so it will control the motion. So in first motion the disc is stationary and in second motion the disc is mobile. So let's see the second associated structure, that is the joint capsule. So the second associated structure is the joint capsule. It is a fibrous joint capsule and it is strong, but it is not providing the greater amount of stability. It is reinforced by the ligament and the disc is attached to the sternoclavicular joint. So here you can see it is reinforced by the ligaments and the disc attached to the sternoclavicular joint. So the stability is in fact provided by the ligaments. Finally, let's see the ligaments of the sternoclavicular joint. So for example, here you have the clavicle and sternum over here. This is the clavicle and sternum over here. You have the first costal cartilage over here. So the sternum and clavicle are related to each other. We call it as sternoclavicular ligament. So this is the sternoclavicular ligament. It is related to each other. So this is the sternoclavicular ligament. So here you can see the sternoclavicular ligament. It is related to each other. So this sternoclavicular ligament has two. One is anterior sternoclavicular ligament and behind of this same thing is that is a posterior sternoclavicular ligament. Now, what is the function of this ligament? That's so simple. That is anterior translation and posterior translation. So the function of sternoclavicular ligament is the restriction of anterior and posterior translation of the ligament. So let's see the next ligament. So here the rib is attached to the clavicle. This is the first costal cartilage. This rib is attached to the clavicle. So this is the costoclavicular ligament. So this is the costoclavicular ligament. So here this costoclavicular ligament has two laminas. Here in this costoclavicular ligament has two laminas. That means two fibers. One is the anterior lamina that is arising from the rib to the clavicle in lateral direction. So this is a costoclavicular costal cartilage. So the first lamina is arising from the rib to the clavicle in lateral direction. So this is the first lamina that is in lateral direction. This one. And other one is arising from the same rib itself but in the medial direction. So this is the other lamina that is arising from the same rib but in the medial direction. So this one is the costoclavicular ligament. So what are the functions of costoclavicular ligament? So here you can see that the clavicle is attached over here. This is one is something like a spring or like a pulley, which is one is attaching to the lower bottom of the clavicle. So here you can see it act as a pulley or a spring. So the elevation of the clavicle is restricted by this ligament. So it will prevent excessive elevation of the clavicle. So the elevation of the clavicle is restricted by this ligament. At the same time, it dissipates the superiorly directed force and it also prevents the medial translation of the clavicle. So these are the functions of the costoclavicular ligament. So I think here you have understood that there are three functions here. One is it prevents the excessive elevation of the clavicle. Second one, it dissipates the superior direction force. And third one, it prevents the medial translation of the clavicle. So here you can see the costoclavicular ligament. This one. Here you can see one is medially directed and one is laterally directed. So now let's see the next ligament. Here the clavicle is attached to the another clavicle. It is called as the interclavicular ligament. So here the clavicle is attached to the another clavicle, which is called as the interclavicular ligament. So this is the interclavicular ligament. So here you can see in this figure, here the clavicle is attached to another clavicle. So it is known as the interclavicular ligament. So the name is itself explanatory, that is interclavicular ligament attaching both the clavicles, so that it is the interclavicular ligament, and this is having very important function. So here we can have elevation and depression, but after some depression it will not allow to the clavicle to depress, because through the lateral end of the clavicle, below that you have the brachial plexus, subclavian artery. So if it gets excessive compression to the first three structures, it can cause the compression of the nerve and the vascular bundles. So that's why it will not allow excessive downward movement in the lateral end of the clavicle. Medial one is not the problem. It is little more stable, but the lateral one is more mobile. So it will prevent the excessive depression of the lateral end of the clavicle. So this is a function of the interclavicular ligament. It prevents the excessive depression of the lateral end of the clavicle, because in the lateral end we having brachial plexus, subclavian artery, etc. So it will get compressed when we will apply excessive depression. So this is the function of the interclavicular ligament. It prevents the excessive depression of the lateral end of the clavicle. So that's all about the three ligaments. Very easy to remember. First one is the sternoclavicular ligament, which attaches the sternum and the clavicle, this one. And second one is the costoclavicular ligament, which attaches the first costal cartilage and the clavicle. And third one is the interclavicular ligament that attaches both the clavicles. So here we conclude the video. In the next video we will be discussing about the motion of the sternoclavicular joint. Thank you.